Hello, everyone. You're welcome to this mini course that is an excerpt from Payment 360, where we learn everything you have always wanted to know about payments. What we're going to do here is to explore the details of the super agent license using a use case. So first of all, we're going to explore what the super agent license is very quickly. If you have been taking this course, you know the slide and you know we've gone through the slide already, so feel free to skip. But the super agent license, what we're going to do is look at 5 key things to note from the super agent license that's operational in Nigeria. So who are super agents? They are companies licensed by CBN to recruit agents for agency banking, which is the provision of financial services within communities. The market segment that this license is focused on is for financial inclusion. So where you have a lot of people that are underbanked or not banked at all, right? And then for settlement status, which is something we look at anytime we're looking at payment licenses, they don't settle on their own. So they'll need to go through the banks, especially the people that have acquired those transactions on their behalf. Last week, we looked at the 4-party model, so you would understand who acquirers are, who merchant acquirers are, and who service providers are. In Nigeria currently, sample companies are MoneyPoint, Capricorn Digital, Innovatives, and QuickTeller PayPoint, which will also be known as the IFIS, the Institute Financial Inclusion. Some of the things to note here that we'll be also discussing during the use case is that super agents cannot hold agent floats. What is agent floats? Agent float is the money that agents pay into an account that they use for their various transactional activities. And we'll look at that during the use case. Another thing is that for super agents to conduct their business well with the agents, normally what we've seen is that agents hold the largest fees, they take the largest fees. Another thing is that the agents are regulated by CBN, but they are also monitored by a body called SANEF that we'll see in the section that we deal with the different supporting bodies for the regulators. Another thing again is that the agents should, or the super agents should support the inter-scheme CICO, which is the cash in, cash out. So they should support cash in, cash out across schemes, not just, their own scheme. Let's jump into the use case. So what can super agents do, and what can they not do? Now, remember this slide, we started from saying that there are 4 different use cases that anybody that is moving money around and wants to create a solution, a platform, or an offering in fintech would need to do. Everything you see around all the fintech offerings are normally around these 4 use cases. The first is the need to store money securely in a wallet or in an account, in a traditional account. The next is the need to move money around. The next is the need to store money to move money in the digitized form. So they need to digitize money in cards or in various tokens. The next is the need to create touch points for the movement of this money that you have digitized. So now you have a card, now you have a payment link, now you have a token. How do you use that token? Where can you use that token? Those are the touch points for the for digital money to be used on. So how does all of this relate to super agents? So remember that we're talking about the SA license, right? The super agents have the SA license. Now, the SA license, like I said in the previous slide, recruits agents to provide financial services within communities. What super agents will be asking themselves, the most important questions for super agents to answer is, who can use my platform? What categories of customers, can use my platform? What kind of tokens can I support on my platform? What kind of tokens are the most used in the market segment or in the community that I find myself? Are you only supporting a token like Apple Pay, right, on your platform, whilst you're in a community that is hardly banked and are using traditional bank accounts and wallets? There'll be a mismatch and you will not be getting, any transactions. Now, the last thing you want to ask yourself is, what is the quickest route to authorization? In the previous modules, we have often, distinguished between authorization and authentication, and how all of them are part of the online message, right, that happens and needs to be concluded successfully before settlement. So this is all what the super agent is asking themselves. Now, what happens next? So you have a super agent, right? So super agent is this lady with the POS, right? And we're saying that that's the agent. And we're saying that super agents need to recruit these agents to provide financial services within the communities. So the first thing that super agents are providing the agent with is the tools, right? So what tools do I need to provide my agent with to work? And then also, what kind of processes should my agents carry out before and during their lifetime, as an agent? What kind of processes do they need? So a combination of tools and processes would make me ready as a super agent to do business with my agent, in the particular environment that I found myself. So let's go deeper. Now, the next thing is for tools, you have mostly mobile apps, and then POS devices. POS devices are much more common, right? But those are the things that you give your super agent, your agents, beg your pardon, to work with, right? So you're either equipping them with a mobile app or a POS device. And now the agent has a mobile app or the agent has a POS device. What, happens next? So what I need to do to provide a POS device, let's, zone in on that. From a super agent perspective, is just to provide the tech. Yes, in some other modules of this course, we'll cover how you need to go get a partnership with a PTSP or an acquiring bank, so that they can give the various terminal IDs and then the routing that you need. So it speaks to number 4, the need to create touch points for digital money to be channeled through. So all of that is covered under the tools, and once you've had those agreements in place, of course, you provide the tech for the agents to work with, the tools. Let's focus now on the processes. So day 1, my agent is equipped with a POS device connected to different people, right, and is ready for business. What are the kind of processes they need to put in place? The next thing is I need to open an account as an agent and put money in that account. How does this happen? I will need to store my agent float. So let's just say that I want to start my agency business with 50,000 Naira. What that means is that if somebody wants to transfer money, right, I would either collect cash from them or I would collect the money from their card. So they present their card or their account to me for me to debit that card, right? And then from my own float, from my own store of value, I'll transfer the money to their destination, right? So I need to, first of all, fund my position with some money, and that is called the agent float. Now, remember that this agent float is money, this digitized money, which means that it needs to sit in an account or it needs to sit in a wallet. And that directly ties to the requirement of you storing money securely. So that means a super agent will need to work with or have the capability, have partnerships or have the capability in-house to store money, securely. You need to store money securely because of the agent float. The next thing that would happen is that you've done all of that. You have the tools, you have the first process in place, which means that you have stored your agent float securely. It's now time for business. You are open for business. So we're back to, this slide. I will just keep here because we have other things to discuss around this. And then what happens is day 1, a customer comes and says, hey, I want to transact and I have a card I want to transact. The customer comes to our agent, right? And then what happens next? The customer says, I want to remove 1,000 Naira from my card. My card is attached to my account and I want to remove 1,000 Naira from my card. And I would like to use your touch points. I would point to the 2 things that are in play here. The need to digitize money, the customer already has that because they've digitized their money. They need to move digitized money to access your digitized money. That's what is in the card. Now they need to create touch points for the movement of digitized money. That's what the agent has with their POS, right? And the customer says, I want that's my digitized money. Out of it, I want 1,000 naira out of it. Hello, agent, please help me make this thing happen. Remember that our agent has tools, the POS, and also has funded their account with 2,000 naira. I know in the last example we said 50,000, but let's say it's 2,000 naira, right? What next does the agent need to do? The agent needs to do about 4 or 5 things to make this transaction happen. The first thing the agent needs to do is to acquire the transaction from the token. So that's where the agent will punch, you want to withdraw, so he'll punch withdraw on his POS or her POS, collect the card from you, ask you various details. Oh, how much do you want? Where should I collect the fees from? Is it current or savings? All those questions that the agent is asking you is to fulfill the requirements of number 1, to acquire the transaction from the token. Remember that at this stage, if there's a mismatched token and touch point, the transaction will not happen. What am I talking about? If you come to an agent in your local market with an international card and they are not able to withdraw money from that international card, it will not work. If you come to an agent that has not been set up to do crypto transactions and you say, oh, I have a crypto token, please, I want to take 1,000 naira out of my crypto token, it will not work. So first of all, there's a need to acquire the transaction from the token. The transaction has been acquired now. Now, number 2 to 4 will need a new kind of capability that we have not discussed yet in this module, and that is the need to move money around. Let us explain it. So to move money around, what the agent needs to do is to get the details of those transactions that you've acquired and send the transaction all the way to your bank, right, to determine if you have money. And we've discussed how people determine, if you have money. First of all, you're authenticated, then you are authorized, making sure that you are, within the limits and the amount, within the amount limits and the frequency limits that your bank has stipulated, right? And then the bank is even available for that debit to happen. And the transaction is authorized, and a successful message, number 4, is sent down back to the agent, which makes a receipt, to be printed. So all these capabilities, send transaction to her bank, authenticate an authorized transaction, get a successful message. The entities that do that are licensed entities called switches and processors, or even banks themselves. So you need the capability of moving money around. Now, once that transaction is successful, the agent now, when the transaction is successful, what needs to happen is that the agent will now be credited immediately or after the fact with the 1K. So the agent now has 1K in their float. It's only until they see this 1K or are assured of this 1K, right? We spoke about the assurance in the trust circle during the 4-party model. When they are assured of this, they have a receipt that says printed. That's when the agent will dip their hand inside their bag and then count 1,000 naira and give the customer. That's number 5, right? So putting everything together, we want to see the capabilities that come into place when the agent does this kind of transaction under the SA license. So first of all, you have your SA license, which means that you can recruit agents and you can set them up to do financial activities, in different communities. That also means that you have had a relationship with an acquirer, right? And somebody that can provide and set up the POS for you. The next thing is that you need to store money securely. You need to store your agent's money securely. You also need to be able to receive in a timely and efficient manner the settlement for the agents when the settlement is due, right? The next thing is that you need to be able to move money around securely, right? So all these 3 licenses need to come into play. Now, let me just move this up so that we see it well. So I'll just go over it again. The SA license, they need to move money, they need to store money securely, and they need to move money around. All of this, need to come together to have a seamless delivery of the super agent license or the agency banking. Now, what super agent license holder in Nigeria do you know that has all these capabilities together, right? And this also allows you to start thinking about how people add different licenses to themselves. They're not adding the licenses for license sake, hopefully. What they are doing is to be able to add these capabilities to themselves, right? And so that's why you see one organization getting more and more related licenses is to be able to fulfill these functions. In another country, for example, they could choose to make the need to store money securely also part of the SA license. In that organization or in that country, the agent now does not need to, or the super agent does not need to get an additional license. So this is to say, let's not look at license for the sake of the license names themselves, but for the sake of the kind of capabilities that you unlock when you get those licenses. That's why this slide on top, the money movement core use cases are very important, right? They are very important. When you're building a product, you ask yourself, what capabilities do I need to make this product wholesome? If I can't get it through licenses, can I get it through partnerships, right? And who do I need to partner with, and all of that. So that's a question for you to ponder. What SA license holder in Nigeria currently has all these capabilities? Awesome. So we have come to the end of this mini course, and I hope it threw some light on what happens in agency banking in Nigeria. Like I said earlier, this is an excerpt of the full Payment 360 course that reveals and unravels everything you need to know about payments. Thank you.